Hi everyone, this is Nikki Rowland for Hey Little Magpie. Today I'm making two layouts. So this process video has two layouts. So the first one I'll make the whole thing and show you the close-ups, and then at the end, then after I've finished that one, I will move on to the next one. For this first layout, or for both layouts actually, I am mixing two collections. So I'm mixing Paige Evans' Truly Grateful, and I'm mixing Maggie Holmes' Heritage. So they go together really beautifully. The same kind of colour ways are in both. So I just really wanted to mix them up this month and create two layouts using both collections mixed together on one page. So my idea for this layout that I'm starting off with is to use that fabulous tree paper from the Paige Evans Truly Grateful collection, and to create an avenue of trees on my layout, going from big at the front going into the distance. So I made my road first, and it didn't work. It didn't look right. It was the wrong angle. So I've just quickly remade that with a piece of white card, and I really wanted to use that fabulous grid paper for the background. Gingham, that was the word I was looking for. That's one of my favourite papers in the Paige Evans Truly Grateful collection. I really love the colours, and I love a gingham print anyway. This is really pretty. I'm just covering the background with some white paint splatters just to give it a bit of extra interest, and then my road will sit on top of there, and then I'm planning to fussy cut out all the trees from that paper, and I also wanted some bigger trees to go at the right at the front of my road, so that I have various sizes. So I just hand drew them. You saw onto a couple of pieces of paper. The one on the right is Paige Evans, and the one on the left is Maggie Holmes. I'm now just freehand cutting out some little branches and the trunks to go within those trees. I've now at this point confused myself, and I think I cut a branch off by accident. Perhaps I should have drawn them first, but no, I persevered, and I have just literally hand cut those little branches there. I'm copying obviously one of the trees from the Paige Evans trees to roughly see where my little branches need to go. So again, I'm doing the same with the pink colour. So I have the kind of pinky mauve Paige Evans paper for my tree on the right, and I'm cutting out a piece of coral cardstock. I'm cutting out my trunk and the branches. So literally totally in the same vein as the other trees from the collection, but they're just two larger ones to go on the right at the beginning of my road. So you can see that's where I cut off a branch by accident. So I've just stuck that back together, paper piecing and all that. You can see how this layout's going to go. I've got my large trees at the front. I'm fussy cutting out all of the other trees. There are a couple of different size trees on that piece of paper, and then I've also got what I don't have is the 6x8 paper pad, which would have had the perfect mini trees on it, but I do have the 2x2 inch swatch books, right? So one of the papers in one of the swatch books has all these trees on, but you can imagine they are super tiny. Yes, I am going to fussy cut some of those out, but there'll just be a few of them, and they'll be for right at the top. Right now just fussy cutting a whole load of trees. I'm not really quite sure how many I will need for this layout, and I just switched off at this point to save boredom, to stop you from having to watch me do all those cut out those trees. And you can see that I fussy cut some of the teeny tiny ones from that 2x2 inch swatch book as well. So now I'm just basically arranging my trees onto my layout, onto my road. I've got this photo of my little boy. He's crawling there, he's learning to walk, and he's just into everything, just constantly exploring. Everything is a new adventure. So I'm just going to kind of document that little story, just because he really is just so excited by everything he comes across. So I'm just distressing the edges of my road, and I'm also want to add some stitching to the edge as well, even though in the end I end up covering practically all of it. It's so annoying when that happens, isn't it? I'm just going to pierce holes using a paper piercing mat and a pokey tool all the way along the edges there. and then I'm going to stitch it through, and I decide on a turquoise thread in the end. You can see it to the left of my screen down there. That's the colour I'm going to use, and I'm just going to use a straight running stitch. I'm using a guide to make sure my holes are straight and evenly spaced, because I have recently learned that I am terrible at piercing holes in any kind of formation. Yes, I'm using a guide there. So I've just pierced all of my holes, and now I'm going to start in with some stitching. So say I'm using that really lovely turquoise colour, or mint green maybe you could call it, and I'm just going to whiz up there with a straight stitch and back down the other side as well. Magic, there you go, all done. I've also cut the middle out of that gingham paper as well, and obviously that's going to be completely covered by my road. And now I'm just trimming it down, because I decided that it needed a border. Now I was going to hand draw a border around the edge, but in the end I decided to bring in more of this lovely Maggie Holmes golden yellow paper from the Heritage collection and have that around the edge of my layout. And I really think, I mean, it matches so beautifully with the same tone yellow that's in the gingham paper, and obviously I've got it in my tree as well. My big tree at the front is that same colour, so that brings all the layout together really quite nicely. It blends the two together. So there you go, there's my background complete, and my trees are going on. So I'm just arranging them all up the edges of the road, and I'm raising most of them on foam pads because I like everything to have lots of dimension. So I figured at the front of the layout, or the bottom of the layout, or the beginning of my road, I needed a bit more of a cluster. So rather than just the giant trees, I needed some little ones as well. I'm not sure it works with the illusion of having, you know, things in the foreground or things in the background, which is kind of what I was aiming for with this layout, but it just didn't look right without them, so I'm adding the little trees in at the front as well. And I plan to have some woodland creatures around there as well, and then I'm coming in with now all of my teeny tiny trees at the top. So I don't want to have too many of these, and I also wanted to close up the road at the top, so there's no white space in between the trees right at the very top edge. I want them to be completely full up with trees there, so it really does look like you're looking as far as the eye can see. So I'm kind of creating a little scene here. I've got my houses in there from Maggie Holmes Heritage collection, and I've cut out a couple of those. The colours, I say, go really beautifully, so that yellow is perfect match, and the mauve is an absolutely perfect match as well to the Paige Evans Truly Grateful collection. So I fussy cut out some leaves over on the right hand side as well. They are from one of the Paige Evans papers, and I've also fussy cut some trees from the Maggie Holmes Heritage paper. The one with all the houses on has got lots of little trees on it as well, so you can see them over to the right too. I'm just sorting out where everything really needs to go. So I'm going to get my photos in place. You can see I've got a couple of chickens at the bottom there, and I'm just sticking on a mushroom, yeah, so I'm just kind of creating this little scene going, you know, that's what I wanted to have it, the illusion of, was a road or a scene. So my chickens are going on now, and now I'm just going to keep adding and adding and adding. So get all of my trees in place, my houses in place. I'm happy with how it's looking, and it's all sort of coming together nicely. Some trees I'm tucking behind my road, and some I'm tucking really inside the line, yeah, so you see I've got houses going on, and I'm just getting all of those trees in place now. So nearly there. I say I'm really loving mixing collections at the moment. So many of the collections go really nicely together, and for a long time I have stuck with just using one collection per layout, and I've found that my layouts, they don't all look the same, but they kind of have the same feel to them, actually I've fallen back in love with mixing collections up a bit as well. So rather than just sticking to all Paige Evans Truly Grateful, I'm now looking around for other collections that it will that things will go with, or they'll complement each other really, and that's kind of the overall look that I'm going for. So bits and pieces from different collections to complement each other, because how cute are those little houses from Maggie Holmes? They're absolutely gorgeous. They go so well with the trees, real compliment. They really complement each other well there. So here you go with my the real distance part of my layout, trying to get in all those teeny tiny trees, getting those all stuck in place. I also came in with a few little trees in the foreground, so that they looked like they were next to the houses, I suppose. And then I was really worried about scale, and then I came in with these giant butterflies. So they are not to scale. Nothing's really to scale in the end. So the butterfly should probably be the same size as the mushroom down the bottom, if we're going to keep everything on scale. But anyway, I decided that I had to let that go and really not worry about the different sizes of things. And I've got a really huge squirrel in that tree now to the right, and I'm going in with lots of other birds and mushrooms and chickens and bunny rabbits and all sorts of things. So now I'm just kind of letting everything go and just making things look pretty rather than worrying too much about creating the perfect looking road scene. So yeah, I really loved all the different icons in these two collections. So in Maggie Holmes you've got little squirrels, and in Paige Evans you have acorns and mushrooms and chickens and butterflies and birds and all sorts. I had the little tiny puffy stickers that went with Truly Grateful, so that's where I've used most of those. I just added a mauve bird there at the top of that tree on the right, and I got another golden butterfly at the top there. They are Maggie Holmes Heritage, those butterflies. Love a bit of gold sparkle, so they were ideal for this layout. And I'm just coming in and writing in my journaling from the top of my road, so from my distance part of the layout. And that is me done, other than off screen I added a couple of bits of golden thread as well. So that is this layout done. Stay tuned for the second one. I'm doing another layout using Paige Evans Truly Grateful and mixing up with embellishments from Maggie Holmes Heritage. So this paper, okay, so this is the paper that everyone is totally in love with. I was in love with it in Horizon, but I have used the one from Horizon to death. I had it about 5 times. Accidentally it came in kits, and it was I had it for Hey Little Magpie, then I had it in the paper pad, and then I had a bit for Go-Go. It was just, I just had it constantly. So I had this paper so many times that when it came to seeing it again in this collection, I thought, oh, what am I going to do with that that's different to what I've already done before? So what I've done is I have cut along every different colour, along the edges of each colour, and I'm folding it up, and I'm going to fold over each corner and secure it with a brad, so I have a giant pinwheel effect. And it also means that I get some brads used, because I haven't used those for years. Who's still got millions of those? Okay, so I'm just going through, and now I am distressing the edges of all of those, because I'm really into distressing the edges of everything at the moment. I'm using my Chamel scissors, however they're quite big, and the edges are quite hard to get into because they're not open edges, they're in between two pieces of colour effectively, so trying to get my scissors in the gaps is quite tricky, especially those big ones from Chamel, but I just about managed it. I tried a few different types of scissors, but no. You also saw that I tried a couple of different backgrounds to go behind this, but in the end I settled upon white. I thought that it looked best, and I'm just distressing the edges of my white cardstock, and now I am going to get my Truly Grateful paper stuck in place. So the middle is now being stuck in place. It's just going to be stick that down. I had to make sure this paper was up the right way, because there was a couple of patterns that had to be up the right way. So there were acorns and there were leaves, I think, or trees, but they definitely had to be, birds, and they had to be up the right way. So just coming in with my huge collection of brads that I still have many years after they went out of fashion, and I'm just pulling out different colours to go match each one of the shades on this paper. So luckily I have brads in every colour of the rainbow, and I was able to colour match really well. So just going through with my paper piercing tool and my paper piercing mat, and I'm making a hole in each folded up piece corner. I can't think of the word that I would use for that. But anyway, every fold has got a brad going through it, holding it in place. So there's a few that didn't really work well with the pinning over, so they ended up off of the page, but I'm just going to go and trim those with a pair of scissors at the end. So you can see that pink one over on the left side at the moment, and then the dark blue navy at the top there, that needs to be trimmed off as well. So I'm just getting all the way around, and in between each one I'm using my pen just to make sure that my papers stick upright or are a smooth curve over rather than a fold. So I just keep putting my pen in each fold as I make it, and that keeps it nice and curved. Okay, so that is my background complete, and just chopping off those excess bits there that I don't really need. And so then I have this giant pinwheel type effect, which is something that I hadn't done when I had this paper in the Horizon collection. So I'm pleased that I did actually think of something different to do with this paper. So I felt like I had done pretty much everything that could have been done with it. And then I'm going to use this title of Thankful, which is the Bramble Fox title, I have got Maggie Holmes paper behind my photo there. I've got a piece of the Speciality Glitter acetate from the Maggie Holmes Heritage Collection, and then a piece of that lovely yellow paper that I used for one of my trees in the first layout and around the border actually. So that's just going behind to give my photo a small photo mount. I did feel that this photo should have really have been a landscape one, would have fitted better I think with the title and the arrangement of the page, but I didn't have a landscape photo, I had a portrait one, so I had to extend my photo from either side using paper layers and also some clusters of flowers that I'm cutting out from this paper here. So this paper that I'm cutting these flowers from was from the gingham paper that I used as the background on my previous layout, and I cut that small amount out from behind where the road was, and these are the flowers that come out from there. So it does show that even though it was a small amount that I cut out from there or gutted from there, actually it served a really good purpose, and I had all these extra floral embellishments that I could use on this layout that went beautifully. I'm also utilising a couple of trees there that you can see that I'd fussy cut for the previous layout and then not used. I'm just adding in a frame. I think that's a sticker from the Paige Evans 6x12 cardstock sticker sheet. So I just cut that in half and use that either side of my photo. Again, that's another way of extending my photo width-wise rather than to make it more of a landscape look rather than a portrait. Yeah, just adding some flowers. So I'm planning to embellish this layout on a tone-on-tone or a colour-on-colour basis. So I've got my flowers, pink flowers are on pink, and the mauve tree is on the mauve area, and the green flowers on the green bit, and the blue tree is on the blue bit, etc. You get the point. I'm just going around and adding in bits and pieces. So all the bits that I've added so far are fussy cut from that paper, and also those trees as well, fussy cut from the previous layout. And now I'm going in to add some stickers. I think I've added a bird already at the bottom. Just going around now and pulling out bits and pieces from the Paige Evans stickers to see what will go well on the different colour areas. So I've got label stickers, I've got acorn, I've got the sun there, I've got that chicken. I love that chicken. Really don't like chickens in real life, but these ones in this collection are so cute. How can I resist them? They're really cute. Even though he does look like he's walking off the page. I'm not sure if he stays, actually, I can't remember. And house, Maggie Holmes house, that's really lovely. So yeah, I'm just literally going through and pulling out all the things in these two collections that work well tone on tone. I really love those wax seal effect stickers from Maggie Holmes Heritage Collection. I think they're the most original embellishments I've seen for a while. And I really enjoyed using those. So adding in a couple more flowers, really made a good old floral cluster around my photo now. And there's a bow on the right there in the mauve section. You can see that I'm really going for it in terms of tone on tone and piling on the embellishments onto this layout. as well. So coming in with a few small things now. So I've got some leaves and some some leaves and some little creatures and some stars and some dots. Literally anything that works well. On these Paige Evans Truly Grateful phrase thickers, they have got all these little bits and pieces. Now I love a set of phrase thickers that come with these kind of things. It makes it an extra embellishment, really, doesn't it? So yeah, it had all these little dots and stars and hearts, all of which are really useful to go in with the papers and the embellishments. They kind of complement them, of course. So I've just added my title there, so I've just stuck that down with some glossy accents, and now I'm just coming in to add some gold thread, some twiddles of gold thread. This is a bit of a whimsical layout with all these crazy little critters on there, so having a bit of gold sparkly thread is just the ideal way to finish off. So yeah, I'm just getting all those stuck in place now. I'm fiddling around to get my ends looking right, like they've just landed there perfectly and I haven't had to arrange them, and just adding a final few sequins to that pink and mauve area over to the right hand side. And there's a few over on the left as well. And that is me done. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you're still with me, that was 2 layouts for Hey Little Magpie using Truly Grateful by Paige and Maggie Holmes Heritage. Again, thank you so much for joining me. That was Nikki Rowland for Hey Little Magpie.